In this video, you're going to learn exactly why you need to be running through your worship set list every single week before you lead on Sunday. And not just running through it, but actually worshiping through your set list. Coming up. Hey everyone, Spencer here from leadingworshipwell.com, your daily dose of practical worship leading tips. If you want to find that daily dose of practical worship leading tips, it's actually over on Instagram or Facebook at Leading Worship Well. I'm posting things every single day there, but here on YouTube, I'm still posting once a week worship leading training videos just like this one, so make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on future worship leading videos. And let's get into it, because today we're talking about 3 reasons that you need to be running through your worship set list every single week, whether you feel like you need to or not. And the scenario sort of goes like this. So when you first start out leading worship, and it's that first year, maybe first 2 years, you run through your worship set list just like you should be doing. And you do that because you know that you're not really prepared to lead worship in any way. So you need to prepare. You need to learn the songs. You need to learn how to lead worship. And in those first couple years, you build the fundamentals of like the practical side of leading worship. But what happens after that, after you've been leading worship for 5 years or 10 years, I've been leading worship for 13 years, so I know that this is true. You feel like, okay, I've got the hang of it now. I've been doing this for a decade. I think I know how to lead worship. And so what happens is you no longer run through your set list anymore, because you know how to play Reckless Love, right? You've played it 1,000 times at this point. You don't need to run through it one more time. But here's the truth, and this is sort of the overarching reason that you should be running through your worship set list, and then we're going to get into some specifics. But the truth is this. The truth is that musicians practice music. If that was your only responsibility to your church, to play music, then yeah, you wouldn't need to run through your set list if you already know the songs. And I think about it this way. I think of like a touring musician. They put in the time in advance to learn the song, and then after that they know the song and they go out and play it, and they don't need to practice it anymore. But musicians practice music. So that's okay if they do that. But we are called to something deeper. And we know this. We say this all the time. We reinforce it to our teams. But does your practice show this to be true? All right, musicians practice music, but worship leaders practice leading worship. You see, if we were just called to play music, it'd be okay for us to learn the music, and once we have it learned, we don't need to practice it anymore. But we're called to lead worship. Worship leaders practice leading worship, and that's something that changes every single week. There's always something new that you need to prepare for in leading worship. And that's ultimately why you need to be running through your worship set list every single week, because it allows you to practice leading worship before you actually lead your church on Sunday. So let's get into some of the specifics behind this that I want to share with you. And these are the 3 reasons that you ultimately need to be running through your worship set list every single week before you lead on Sunday. And the first is this. The first is that the Holy Spirit doesn't just lead you on Sunday mornings. The Holy Spirit is available all throughout the week. And what I hear too often is that worship leaders think, well, I don't need to prepare because the Holy Spirit is going to lead me on Sunday. Or maybe I don't want to prepare because I want to be more open and receptive to the Holy Spirit's leading whenever I'm actually leading on Sunday morning. And I'm all for being open to where the Spirit is leading you in the moment. But the truth is, the Holy Spirit doesn't just show up on Sunday. He is always with you. He is in your planning process. He's in your planning process. All throughout the week leading up, you can still have Spirit-led worship and show up on Sunday with a plan, because the Holy Spirit has been leading you throughout the week. And one of the ways that you seek the Spirit's guidance, not just in planning your set list and picking out the songs and stuff like that, but is to actually run through the songs in advance. And not just run through, but worship through the songs. There's sort of 2 parts of running through your set list. The first is just to learn it musically, which if you've been leading for 10, 13 years, you already know how to play it musically. But the second part that we miss too often is to run through it or to worship through it. So now you know the practical side of these are the chords I need to play, these are the words that I need to sing. Now I need to learn how to worship through it. And in that, you can allow the Holy Spirit to guide you in your own personal worship time, to point you to truths that you may need to highlight, to point you to where transitions can be, what you can say, what you can sing, all of that sort of stuff. That can happen in advance, and it can still happen on Sunday morning, but it's always better to have a plan than to not have a plan. The Holy Spirit doesn't just lead you on Sunday mornings, it leads you all throughout the week. The second reason you need to be running through your set list every single week before you lead on Sunday is that you can't take people where you haven't gone before. And I think of two examples for this, and I'm not sure where the first one came from, but I love this idea from somebody. I was watching some worship leading videos sometime, and they were talking about the idea that as worship leaders, we are tour guides. So we are taking people on this journey, of course, with the help of the Holy Spirit, who is with you all throughout the week, not just on Sunday mornings, but we are tour guides leading people to the goodness of God. The thing is, would you trust a tour guide who has never been to the place that they're leading you to before? No, you wouldn't, right? You expect them to have gone there, not just once, but probably hundreds of times. You want to know that they know where they're going and where they're leading you. So when it comes to worship, you can't take people where you haven't gone before. So we need to go to that place in advance. Every Sunday is a journey. Every worship set list is a journey that you're crafting, where you're starting at point A, ending at point B, which is like some element or some characteristic of who God is. And so we need to go on that journey in advance. And that's sort of the other example or a way to say it that I think of. And I think this came from Passion. Passion Band. They were talking about it before, about this idea of going on the journey. Every Sunday is a journey. We are planning a journey for people to connect with God. So we need to go on that journey so that we know, okay, well, there might be an obstacle at this specific part, and I need a speaking transition to explain it, all of that stuff. If you're doing that for the first time on Sunday, then you're navigating around all of those things in the moment. But we want to prepare in advance so that we can lead with confidence on Sunday. And finally, number 3, we need to run through our set list because practicing your transitions is important. It's really important to know what you're going to say before you say it. This all comes down to prior planning. Yes, the Holy Spirit can change where you had expected to go on Sunday morning, but we want to come in with a plan. And so whenever you run through your set list, you start to identify those spots. Okay, there might be a transition there. And then you take it a step further and not just, okay, there might be a transition there, but what's that transition look like? And there's 2 transitions that you need to work through. The first is musically, like how am I going to get from song 1 to song 2 to song 3 and so on. What's going to happen in between there musically? Am I going to pick songs in similar keys or the same key so I can just flow into the next one? Is there like a musical tag that I need to add on for a transition? Or am I just going to stop a song and start a song, which is perfectly valid as well? That's musical transitions, but then there's also the speaking transitions, and that's where you find out, okay, what is this song actually saying? Where am I actually leading people in worship? And if you want more information about that, click this video right here for the practical side of that. I did a whole series on what to say while leading worship. But if you run through your set list, that's really a big part in finding those transition spots. And then when you show up on Sunday, you can lead confidently. And this doesn't matter if you've been leading worship for 1 year or if you've been leading worship for 20 years. You should always be running through your worship set list in advance. Hey, before you go, I just wanted to share with you a free audio training that I put together. It's called 5 Tips to Instantly Improve Your Worship Leading. In it, I share 5 simple tips that will instantly improve your worship leading. They're just simple things that you have to know them, but once you know them and apply them, they will instantly improve your worship leading. They're pretty easy things. You just have to make the conscious effort to incorporate them. Hey, this was sort of a new format for a video. I tried to go a little bit shorter. Usually I've been doing like 20 to 30 minute videos. Maybe you like that. If you like the shorter video, let me know below. Or if you want like those 20 to 30 minute videos, I can still do that. I just wanted to try something different. But either way, let me know in the comments below. And thanks so much for joining me today. Once again, my name is Spencer Cormany from leadingworshipwell.com. I'll catch you next time. Keep leading well, guys.